Howdy everybody, I'm JohnnyF and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about some LED lighting for your storage compartments. Specifically, I'm going to be showing you examples on my 2019 Forest River pop-up camper. And if you saw any of my earlier video on expanding or clearing out your storage areas, you'll remember that we removed a storage bin back up in here that slid in and out through this hole, and we removed that and then we opened this up, and then I had a bunch of more storage. But what I wanted to do was, you can see this is after I put some lighting in, but that was really dark, especially at night or in the evenings, and so I wanted to get some LED lighting in there. So what I did was I went on to Amazon and I found some, there's a ton of LED lighting, but I found these right here. This is some 12 volt 48 LED strips. There's 4 in a package, and you can see they're 9.6 watts per strip. And there is, like it says here, there is an on-off switch, and it's on the end right here. It's a little button that you press to turn on and turn off. So I purchased those, and there's also at the ends here, you can't see it because of this angle, but there's also a little tab that sticks out with a couple of holes where you can put some screws, and it also comes with some little metal mounting clips that go on the back, and then it snaps in. And in my case, I screwed those clips to the wood, and then I just snapped the LEDs into that. So I got a set of those, and I picked myself up some wire. In this case, I picked up some 16 gauge, which is fairly small wire, but it's the bound wire that's together, and it was easy to run. They call it zip cord in a lot of circumstances. When I'm doing a lot of my ham radio stuff, there's a lot of mention about zip cord, which is just basically the 2 wires that are fused together. You can pull them apart, but they're fused together. So I picked up some of that, but I didn't want to tie into the electrical system of the trailer itself. They'd already done all of the wiring, and they had their own little 12 volt fuse panel. I didn't want to mess with that. I didn't want to try and cram any more wires in there or anything. So I decided to set up my own panel. So I bought a pack of these inline fuses, and you can see that's 10 gauge 30 amps is what it'll take. So I bought these. I had some other ones, but they weren't 10 gauge, so they wouldn't do the full 30 amps. So I bought this pack. They're not very expensive, and I snipped it off, and I put a big eyelet on one end and hooked it to the positive of the battery, and then on the other end I took some 10 gauge wire and I ran it inside into the same storage area where the other fuse panel is, and that's up in the front. Let's see. So jumping ahead of myself, I bought this 12 circuit fuse block. It does 12 circuits. It has 12 spots to put your own fuses in it, and you can put in whatever fuses you want. And then it's got a bunch of grounding lugs across the bottom, and we can get a better picture of that in this other one here where it's actually installed. So as you can see, underneath the left seat, I went ahead and screwed this to the plate, or to the wooden plate that ran across here. It's a little uneven there, but from the side you can't really tell that. And so I put that in there. That was pretty darn sturdy. That plastic is a pretty hard plastic, so it seems like good construction. And then of course my 30 amps through my fuse coming straight from the battery. And then this was the positive side of the battery and the negative side of the battery. So I ran some 10 gauge zip cord, left myself a little extra in case I had to move it, and I ran that down through the floor and out and hooked that to the battery. One thing I really do like about this system is that it will see it's got these little LEDs right here. You can see there's one for each fuse. If the fuse blows, the panel will detect that there is a demand across that circuit, and that little LED will light up, and that will show you that there's a blown fuse. So that's kind of nice. It's fairly bright, so if I did blow a fuse, I would be able to see right away that that fuse was blown. So I installed that underneath the left-hand seating area. I got my power run into there, and then I picked up some 16 gauge wire, like I had mentioned, and I used that to run all of my lines, because the lights, like it states here, the lights are 9.6 watts a piece. So if you pulled up a calculator here, and I went 9.6 watts, and there's 4 of them, that's 38.4 watts. You divide that by 12, and you'll see that it's about 3.2 amps of draw at 12 volts. 3.2 amps is not very much at all. So what I did was I put in that fuse block, once it was all said and done and everything was put together, that fuse right there is 5 amps. So and that's powering all my lights. I have a pair of lights up front that run off of one power, and a pair of lights in the back that run off of the other, and I hooked them to the same lugs going across the same fuse. So that was my game plan, and so I took those lights, and let me pull up. What I did was, you saw the back section here. I put the one light. Now, when we did that, I put the light here, and I put another one up here so that I could reach in through here and push on the end the button to flip those on and off. And you can see, this was dark outside when I took the picture. You can see how well it lights up that area. It really does a nice job. So let's see, if you're looking at the same camper for doing yours, I'll list all of these parts in the notes of the video so that you could find them easily on Amazon if you liked. But if you happen to be doing this on a Rockwood, I'll tell you real quick. What I did was I ran this up across here, and I drilled a little hole. This is where all the main power wires are running through. This runs over behind the refrigerator. So I drilled my own hole up here, like a 1/2-inch hole, to run my wires through, because I knew later on I was going to run some other wires for another project. But I ran those through there, and then let's see, those come out behind the refrigerator, and they come out, it's hard to tell, but they're coming through the wall about right here, and there's some little brackets and stuff to hold the wiring. So I went ahead and ran my wires through there, and then I drilled another little hole on this side, and that puts it in behind the sink. So then when you pop out in there behind the sink, it's going to look like something like this. The wires ran across the back shelf of the sink, and then there's a slot, or there's a spot right here that there's cut out, and they ran down here above the wheel well, and I just pulled them back out through here, and they end up coming out right here next to the air conditioner. So the wires are coming out of the side here, and then they ran down here. I ran them underneath the main ducts for the air conditioner. And then, let's see, too many pictures. They came through, they came out from underneath, so the air conditioner is back over this way. And so I came out, and you can see I used some little clips to attach those to the wood, and I ran that down, and then I split the wires here and crimped that on. Ran a pair underneath and up and crimped them along to here, and then it's kind of hard to see there. Let me turn that off, see if we can zoom that in a little bit. I don't know if we can. Oh yeah, we can. All right, so you can see right here the little clips. So there's a clip on each end. So I just got some tiny little screws, and I screwed those on there, and then I snapped this whole unit on. And again, that little on-off button is right there, so when I reach up through here, I can just click that on and off. So you can see I tied those down, and we'll zoom back out. Ran those up. I ran the other pair along the wall over in this direction, and what I ended up with is a pair of lights on each side. This is with, I had taken the bed back out and taken the detached, well, I detached this end of the assisted lift arm there, and to do all my wiring. So you can see my LEDs, and they are pretty bright. Those will be covered up when I put the flooring back, but as you saw in other pictures, you know, it does throw off some really good lighting under there. So that's how I ran those into the back as we cut through there. And you can, and well, I showed this picture before, but you can see they do put out some decent light, and they're not very expensive lights. So on the other side, let's see if I have I don't think I have a picture here with those wires, but you could, this other pair of wires here runs down, and it goes this way, and it goes in front of this hot water heater. It comes back around here, and then I drilled, there's actually already a hole in the inner wall right here where some wires come through. On the other side of that is the outside storage compartment, and that is, let me pull this back. That's the storage compartment right here on the front. So that we're working over in this area here, and we're coming out on the inside of that storage compartment. So when that comes through, it pops out. It just comes out a little bit from that on the wall. Over here, I put that big hole on the backside. I just drilled a little, like, I don't know what it was, 3/8 hole or something through this wall, and then I fished the wires up here, and I stapled them along, and then I came down here. I split it and tapped into this one, and then I ran another one down here. And again, it's got the little clips on each side to hold these things underneath there. But those lights do such a good job. You really, so far I've been really happy with them. I haven't done 5,000 clicks on them or something to see, how well they're going to stand up over time. But it's gonna be good. You can see this was just starting to get to dusk, and I had the two lights underneath there. When it starts to get dark, those things really do light up the outside, or I'm sorry, the inside of that cabinet. So I'm really happy with that. It turned out really well. I've got great lighting on the inside, in the back, and then I've got really good lighting here that I can flip up, or even if I just go in from the end. Well, this is the end of the back, but on the front, when I go through these end compartments, again, you just reach your hand up. You just reach your hand up in here and press the button, and the lights come on. So it was a good little project. I mean, the hardest part is just clearing out, getting the bed up and all that kind of stuff. But it went pretty well, and I think so far those products have been really good. I'm really gonna like this. I've already used up a couple more ports on this thing. I've got some. I've installed some USB outlets in there, and I've installed some power pole outlets. If anyone's familiar with that, they're 30 amp power pole outlets for running just about everything. And I'll do another video on that. But I'm going to put a link to all these things in the show notes here, so you'll have that power box. And they make some other ones. If we looked at that again, you'll see there's a 6-way, and a 12-way, and they make some other options too. But and then here's the LEDs, and then of course I had the wire that I had purchased and the inline fuses. And I had already had a big box of a box of of a bunch of different fuses. So again, it was a good project. I did, even though it's not on here, you'll see it in other videos. But of course, since this is the furnace, it's going to get hot. So I took this wire and I used some of those white clips and I clipped it up to make sure it wouldn't touch that. This unit here is the high pressure outside hose sprayer, so that's, there's no heat or anything there. There's where your main power comes in if you got shore power. So anyways, it was a fun little project. If you're doing it on your own Forest River, then maybe some of those pictures will help you. But hopefully just seeing the components and just getting a general layout of it will help you. And I thought I had taken a picture of this. This is where it comes through the wall. So like I had mentioned before, there's a hole already back here that you can't see. So I just popped a little hole through there with a drill bit, and then that brought me out onto this side. And then it came through. I put some little staples in right here. I don't know if those are going to hold very well. You can see I got one of those white clips up here. I might end up putting some, replacing these with white clips, but it's up, it's out of the way, and so far it's working great. I'm really happy with it. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Like I said, I'll have all those components listed there in the show notes, and hopefully you can grab some of those and start your own little project on your camper as well. So if it was helpful, give me a like there. If you got any questions, please put them into the comments, and I will be happy to answer anything I can. So until next time, happy camping.